All right, so you know how it is, right? We've all gotten pretty used to chatting with AI one-on-one. It's awesome for asking a quick question or, getting a summary of a long article. But what happens when you try to drop that same AI into, say, a group chat or a team meeting or even a family dinner? Yeah, it kind of falls apart, doesn't it? Well, today we're going to dig into why that is and look at a brand new framework that's trying to teach AI how to actually be a good team player.
So, what's the big deal, really? Well, think about any real world group conversation you've been in. It's not just a neat, orderly series of one on one turns, it's messy. People are interrupting each other, the topic shifts on a dime, there are inside jokes. Current AI just isn't built to handle that kind of chaos, that multi party complexity. I love this analogy. It's like bringing a chess grandmaster to a poker game. They might be brilliant, but they're playing a completely different game with totally different rules.
And for years, the folks who actually create these experiences, designers, developers, they've been stuck between a rock and a hard place. On one hand, you've got rigid scripts. Yeah, they're controllable, but they feel so robotic, so unnatural. Then on the other hand, you have pure generative AI, the kind that just makes stuff up on the fly. It's spontaneous, for sure, but it can also be totally chaotic and unpredictable. So you're left with this choice, either a super boring, predictable play or a wild improv show that goes completely off the rails. But what if you didn't have to choose? What if you could get the best of both worlds? Well, that's exactly the goal of this new research prototype called Dialogue Lab. It's an open source framework designed to bridge that exact gap, to blend the reliable structure of a script with the genuine spontaneity of a real conversation. So at its core, Dialogue Lab is a tool built for creators. You can think of it like a unified workbench, a single place where a designer or a researcher can author, simulate, and then test these really complex group conversations with both humans and AI. It's basically a simulator for social dynamics. Okay, so how does this thing actually work? The best way to wrap your head around it is to imagine you're a director staging a scene. This framework literally gives you, the creator, director-level control over every single element of the conversation, from who's in the scene to how the dialogue actually flows. First up, you gotta set the stage. Dialab calls this group dynamics, and it's all about the who. You decide who the participants are. Are they human? Are they AI? What roles do they have? Maybe some are presenters and others are the audience. You can even create subgroups, little cliques within the larger conversation. You're essentially drawing out the social map of the entire interaction before anyone even says a word. All right, once you've set your cast, you define the what, the conversation flow. The whole dialogue gets broken down into these little chunks called snippets. Just think of them as different phases of the conversation, right? You might have an opening snippet, then a debate snippet, and finally a consensus snippet. And for each one, you, the director, get to set the rules. You can define how turn-taking works and even set the overall vibe, like, is this a collaborative chat or a heated argument? And the actual process of creating is this really neat three-step loop: author, test, and verify. It's super intuitive. First, you author your scene with a simple drag-and-drop canvas. Then, you test it out in a live preview. Now, this is where it gets really cool. There's a human control mode that lets you guide the AI in real time. You can approve or even edit its responses on the fly. And finally, you verify everything with a visual dashboard that shows you how the conversation played out. No more digging through endless text logs. Okay, this all sounds great in theory, right? But a tool is only as good as the people who use it find it to be. So of course, the researchers had to put it to the test. They ran a user study to see if Dialogue Lab actually helps creators do what it promises: design better, more realistic group conversations. And they didn't just grab anyone off the street. They brought in 14 people who are the exact target audience for a tool like this. We're talking experts from game design, education, and social science research. People whose jobs literally depend on creating believable dialogues, whether it's for NPCs in a game, a training simulation, or a research study. And the results? Wow, they were crystal clear. The participants tried out 3 different modes. In reactive mode, the AI only spoke when spoken to. In autonomous mode, it just chimed in whenever it wanted. But look at this. The overwhelming favorite was human control mode, the one where the user could guide the AI's responses. It wasn't even close. It was rated way, way higher across the board on everything that matters: engagement, effectiveness, and realism. And this quote from a participant really gets to the why behind those numbers. They said that this human control mode gave them a greater sense of agency and immersion. See, it changed the whole experience. They weren't just passively watching an AI perform anymore. They were actively co-creating the conversation with the AI. And that right there is the magic, that perfect balance between powerful automation and human creative control. And the rest of the feedback pretty much echoed that same sentiment. People loved it. They said the drag and drop interface was fun and efficient. They kept coming back to that perfect balance of automation and control. And they found the verification tools to be super powerful for figuring out, at a glance, what was working and what wasn't. So when you step back and look at all this, it's clear this is way more than just a cool prototype. It's really a glimpse into the future, a future where our collaboration with AI could be so much richer, so much more nuanced. Let's talk about what that might actually look like.
I mean, the potential applications here are huge. Think about education. Imagine a student practicing public speaking in front of a whole simulated audience of AIs that can react, ask tough questions, and give feedback. Or what about game design? Creating non-player characters, NPCs that actually have believable dynamic conversations with each other, not just waiting for the player to show up. And for social scientists, this is like a dream come true, a controlled laboratory for studying group dynamics without the absolute nightmare of organizing huge groups of real people.
Ultimately, that's what this is all about. This isn't just about making a chatbot that doesn't get confused in a group chat. No, the real goal here is to build tools that open up a whole new way for humans and AI to partner up, moving way beyond just simple commands and answers, and into the world of truly complex, dynamic teamwork. Which leaves us with one last, pretty big question to chew on. This technology is moving so fast. It's really not a matter of if AI will join our team meetings, our classrooms, or our creative projects anymore. It's a matter of how. Tools like Dialogue Lab are the very first steps in designing what that future looks like. So the real question is, what are we going to build with them?